So, hi David, thank you for joining us today. Before we start with our questions, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So I'm David Gentles. I've worked at the college for a good number of years now. I normally work in the Learning Resource Centre. I'm currently on secondment as a learning development worker for 6 months up to the summer. And I've had numerous roles within the college over my time here. And I've always felt that LGBT History Month was a really important event throughout the year. And that goes back to my student union days and my student association days.
So, to start off with, why do you think LGBTQ plus History Month is so important to the students and the staff here at Falkland Valley College?
I think it's really good from an equalities point of view to promote positive role models for LGBT individuals and students. It can be difficult being an LGBT individual when different within college and school settings. I must admit the colleges I think are much better than schools, although there is some way to go, and I think by having the celebration of the month it creates more awareness and promotes more equality.
And is that kind of the same beliefs that you share for yourself? So, like, personally, do you think that's kind of important to you personally? Are these kind of the same beliefs you...
Yep, it is. It's very important to me as an LGBT individual myself. Yeah. It's really important to promote equality and make sure that everybody's treated well. I have seen things happen to friends over the years and different situations and that weren't pleasant, and thankfully things are getting better as we move on, but there is, as I say, still room for improvement.
Yeah. So what are some of the things that you personally have helped create in recent years in regards to LGBTQ History Month? So at the college, kind of events and stuff like that?
So over the years we've done quite a few different things. So we did Selfies Under the Rainbow, where we created rainbows at garden arches, and we got students to take pictures and post them on social media. And that was open to all students, and it's just to show support for LGBT History Month. We've done flag activities, we've done quizzes, we always do our notice boards and information. We used to hold events as well, but we've got our external organisations in, so like LGBT Youth, the Terence Higgins Trust, and a host of other organisations would come in over the 3 campuses and talk to students about LGBT and like engage with LGBT students. So yeah, it's really important.
Yeah. So like, how long did these events take to plan? Were they quite like a tedious process, or kind of would they just come to you?
Sometimes, depending on how big the event was, sometimes would be planned 4 or 5 weeks in advance. Other times, you know, if it's quick things, I can throw it together in a week or 2. It just really depends how big. When we're booking stalls, we've got to go through the college processes, so it's quite a big thing.
Were there any like kind of roadblocks that you maybe faced setting these events up, or is it smooth sailing for most of it?
It's mostly smooth sailing unless you've got another event booked on the same day as you intend to hold it, in which case you've got to renegotiate and move things about. Another issue you have is if you don't act quick enough with booking external organisations in, it's a really busy month for LGBT youth, and like the Terence Higgins Trust. So if you don't book them almost like months in advance, you're no guaranteed to get everybody because their diary starts to fill. So you might have to try and move your days about, or have to have that you only have so many organisations at the different campuses to meet their diaries. So it is quite stressful.
Can you tell us about like some of the events that have stood out to you over the years? So like maybe any personal favourites that you may have.
I think the year that we did the Selfie Under Rainbow was like my favourite year. We did loads. We did it over the 3 campuses. We were out for the whole month. We did quizzes. We did flag colouring. We went into classes and spoke to students about it and did activities with them. We did some presentations, and then we had externals in as well, and we had tables and stalls, and it was just a really like feel good sort of activity and event. It was brilliant. And
for this event in particular, and kind of most of them, how do you think the students like responded to them? Is it positively, negatively, or? Yeah,
we always got really good feedback, good engagement for the students, and that's across the board. So we've never really had any issues with like vandalism or anything like that, which is quite surprising. But I think because the college is so open and relaxed, that you know that there's a respect there, which is really important.
With like maybe if you had like a negative reaction, or an event wasn't as popular as you thought it was there any kind of like tweaks that you've had to do over the years to some of the events, or is it all just kind of been like?
It's always been plain sailing, I must admit. I mean, if there had been issues, anything raised, we would have assessed it and then looked to see what we could change or what we could change to make it more engaging. But if there'd been negative comments, depending on what it was, we would either, we would address that. But it depends if the negativity was sort of directed at the LGBTQ plus community, or if it was like that, like students felt they weren't comfortable with it, or if it was something to do with the actual events itself. And again, we would just take appropriate action from there.
So I'm going to talk a little bit more about just this year specifically. Can you tell us about some of the events that have been planned or have already been held this year in regards to LGBTQ History Month?
So we've run the quiz just up to the end of the month there, end of February. We've currently got our notice boards up on every campus in Proton. We've got a selection of LGBTQ plus books out on the campuses as well. We have made keyrings with some of the groups and went into classes and done some like keyring making and things like that. And I think we still have got a few things under our hats that we're still working at the moment. I'm hoping to maybe get the flag making up and running this month, although it is past LGBTQ plus History Month. We would still look to maybe get that running, but if not, we'll work on that for next year.
Yeah. And so this year as well, do you think it has been as popular as it was in the past, or do you think that you needed to do more to kind of attract more interest this year?
I think we could have done a lot more. I think we could have made it more engaging for the students and had more things running, but again, that's all due to time and duties and like workload, unfortunately, and things were pulled together quite last minute this year, so I think we could have done more, but it was still well enough received. Yeah.
So I want to talk about a little bit more about the rainbow selfie event you were talking about. I think this is like a great idea. I really enjoy that idea, and I was just wondering what like kind of the inspiration was to set up an event like that, and what the process of creating this event was like for you.
It was actually I think it was just a random idea. I'd seen a garden arch when I was out shopping, and I thought we could make that into a rainbow. Yeah. And I work with textiles quite a lot. So I was like, organza, we could make it easy enough. So I costed it, I approached my manager, and they approved the costings for each of the campuses, which was really good. And we were able to set it up. So we really enjoyed it. We probably would have done it again, I think, and more frequently, but unfortunately things like lockdown hit and things like that. So
did you build the rainbow yourself? Did you kind of create it yourself? Yeah,
it was we just created the garden arches, and then we bought organza in each of the colours of the rainbow, and we tied it on, wrapped it around the metal frame of the garden arch, and then we attached it to one of our grey boards that we have for display purposes. That was just for health and safety, so it wouldn't keel over. Yeah. And then we put the brightly coloured wallpaper at the backdrop, and then we had props as well. We had like hula necklaces and sunglasses and things like that, so that people could have a bit of fun with it. And it was really well.
Is there any of the selfies that kind of stand out to you? Maybe any kind of funny ones, or?
I think one of the only ones that I've probably still got on file actually is one that was like all the organisations sort of got together with us at the college, and we all went under the rainbow together, sort of as many as we could fit under the rainbow together at the time with all the different props on it. It was hilarious. Yeah. And as I say, I think I still got that on file somewhere on my work PC.
Did you all get some props and stuff? And
it was really good fun. We used to have, at the time, had really good connections with the different organisations.
Yeah. So there hasn't been as many events in the past couple of years. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about why that is?
Lockdown had a big impact on that, I would say, probably. Yeah. So we haven't been able to hold big events and get things. We've lost a lot of connections over that time as well. Mm-hmm. Another thing is the teams that organise these change, so the staff have left. Mm. So I did a lot more with LGBTQ plus in my previous roles. And I did a wee bit in the Learning Resource Centre, but it's not the main part of my job, so you're limited to how much involvement you can have, because I have obviously got other things to do. Yeah. It would normally sit more with sort of other areas within the college. But I said that it's something that we always work on. We always do the boards, we normally do the flags, and we always do the quizzes every year in the library to keep things promoted.
So would you say this year is kind of like a rebuilding period, kind of like trying to get back up to where you were with like as many events as you were holding, so like maybe next year will be like right back to it?
Definitely, we are trying to get things back up and running again. It'll not be me that would lead on it, unfortunately. So it'll depend what happens with staffing next year. But we're just keeping it. We always keep something running, and I think that's the most important thing. It's not always about being bigger and better. It's about having something there for the students and having something running. Mm-hmm. And as long as we can keep something running all the time, that's the main objective. Yeah. It'd be great to have these amazing events all the time, but unfortunately, the work that's involved in a lot of that,
Yeah.
and the timescales, it can be really tricky for us to
Yeah.
juggle.
So do you think during like your time working here there has been enough to like promote this event, and or do you think that there should have been more?
I think in the past we've did really well, and I think at the moment we're in a reasonably good place considering we've had lockdown and we've different things that are going on.
Yeah.
And I think we will build on it and continue to promote. But definitely, it's over the years I've seen that we've had some amazing events around LGBTQ plus History Month. So I think the college has always done enough, and there's this amazing support network in the college as well.
Mm-hmm. And finally, our last question is just what are your plans going forward for this month? Will there be more events soon, or are you going to do some more in the future?
We'll do more in the future. We'll always do the events. We'll hopefully build on this and maybe get it a wee bit more in depth next week and work with other departments to get it.
Mm-hmm.
That there's a bigger event. I would like to maybe set up a Teams page with resources and things like that as well that people can join. I know in the past there has been other things set up. I know that the Student Association used to have they set up a LGBTQ sort of mentorship programme almost, where like the highlighted staff that students that were LGBTQ plus that students could then go to speak about like concerns and things like that. I don't know if that is something that's still running or something that could be worked on again, but there's loads of things that the college are doing and actively working towards.
Great. Well, thanks very much for joining us here, David.
That's brilliant.
I appreciate
Thanks.
it. No worries.